Chancellor Vex Thara adjusted her ceremonial robes as she entered the Grand Assembly Hall, her confidence radiating through every calculated movement. The Galactic Council chamber buzzed with satisfied murmurs from representatives of 43 species, all celebrating what they believed to be their greatest diplomatic victory in millennia. "The Earth delegation has been successfully eliminated," she announced to the assembly, her voice carrying across the vast chamber through neural amplifiers. The humans' naive trust in our peace accords made the operation remarkably simple. The assembled aliens, a mixture of crystalline entities, gas-based consciousnesses, and various corporeal species, expressed their approval through a symphony of clicks, harmonics, and bioluminescent displays. For 3 years, they had pretended to welcome humanity into their galactic community, all while planning this moment. Ambassador Koldan, a towering insectoid from the Rim territories, stepped forward. "Excellent work, Chancellor. The human technology was becoming problematic. Their adaptation rate was unprecedented." "Indeed," Vex Thara replied, savoring the moment. "In just 50 years since first contact, they had reverse-engineered our FTL drives, improved our energy systems, and begun developing technologies we couldn't even classify. They were evolving too quickly to control." The truth was simpler than the Council cared to admit. Humanity's technological advancement had terrified them. While other species had taken millennia to develop interstellar capabilities, humans had gone from primitive chemical rockets to quantum tunneling drives in less than a century. Their military applications of peaceful technologies had been disturbing. The termination of Ambassador Harrison and his entire diplomatic fleet sends a clear message, Chancellor Vex Thara continued. "Earth will understand that their expansion ends now. Without their leadership and their most advanced vessels, they'll be forced to accept our terms for limited participation in galactic affairs." What the Council didn't know, what their intelligence networks had failed to discover, was that Earth's military doctrine had been shaped by humanity's own bloody history. The concept of total war was uniquely human, and they had never shown the Council their true capabilities. The celebration was interrupted by a Priority 1 alert that filled the chamber with warning harmonics. The main display materialized, showing long-range sensor data that made every representative fall silent. "Impossible," whispered Ambassador Koldan, his compound eyes reflecting the horror on the screen. Emerging from quantum tunnels at the edge of the Council's home system was a fleet that defied comprehension. 3,000 vessels, ranging from kilometer-long destroyers to massive carriers that stretched over 50 kilometers from bow to stern. But it wasn't their size that terrified the Council, it was their design. Unlike the sleek artistic vessels preferred by most galactic civilizations, the human fleet was brutal in its functionality. Angular, armored, and bristling with weapon systems that the Council's computers couldn't even identify. These weren't exploration ships or even the military vessels that had escorted the diplomatic mission. These were warships designed by a species that had spent thousands of years perfecting the art of killing its own kind before turning that expertise toward the stars. "How many ships does Earth possess?" Chancellor Vex Thara demanded, her earlier confidence evaporating. The tactical officer, a nervous crystalline entity whose faceted body was flickering with stress patterns, consulted the databases. "According to our intelligence, Earth maintains a fleet of approximately 200 vessels for system defense and exploration." Then where did 3,000 warships come from? The answer came not from her staff, but from the communication system as a transmission pierced through their most secure channels. The voice was calm, professional, and utterly terrifying in its matter-of-fact delivery. "This is Fleet Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force. Council members, you have one opportunity to explain why our diplomatic mission was destroyed and our people murdered." Chancellor Vex Thara felt her respiratory system falter. "Admiral Chen, there. Must be some misunderstanding. The destruction of your vessels was recorded in full detail by our quantum surveillance network. Admiral Chen interrupted. We've been monitoring Council activities since first contact. Did you really think we would engage in interstellar diplomacy without intelligence assets in place? The chamber erupted in panicked communications as representatives realized the implications. Humanity had been watching them for 3 years, learning their capabilities, their tactics, their weaknesses. You betrayed a peace delegation, Admiral Chen continued, her voice growing colder. You murdered civilians under diplomatic immunity. By Earth's laws and our military doctrine, this constitutes an act of war against humanity. Admiral, please, Chancellor Vex Thara pleaded. All pretense of authority abandoned. We can negotiate terms. The time for negotiation ended when you fired on ships flying under diplomatic flags, Admiral Chen replied. You wanted to see humanity's true capabilities. Congratulations. You're about to witness what we've been holding back. The tactical display showed the human fleet separating into attack formations with precision that spoke of decades of military planning. Energy signatures began spiking across their vessels as weapons systems that existed nowhere in the Council's databases came online. For the record, Admiral Chen's voice carried across the chamber one final time. Earth never wanted this war. We came in peace, offering cooperation and friendship. You chose to respond with treachery and murder. The destruction of your civilization is on your hands, not ours. The communication ended, leaving the Council chamber in terrified silence as 3,000 human warships began their approach. In the space of 10 minutes, the most powerful political entity in the galaxy had learned that they had just declared war on a species that had been politely pretending to be less advanced than they actually were. Chancellor Vex Thara stared at the approaching fleet, finally understanding the fatal mistake they had made. They had assumed that humanity's peaceful diplomatic approach meant weakness. They had been catastrophically wrong. The Earth fleet arrived with methodical precision, and when they departed 6 hours later, they left behind empty space where the Council's home system had once existed. Humanity's message to the galaxy was clear: betrayal would not be tolerated, and Earth's patience, once exhausted, would never be offered again.